There have been, even in recent history, many sieges which lasted longer than the French Union garrison's defense of a small town in the northeastern corner of Vietnam with the unlikely name of Seat of the Border County Prefecture, or in Vietnamese, Dien Bien Phu. The French reoccupation of the valley lasted a total of 209 days, and the actual siege 56 days. The Germans held Stalingrad for 76 days, while the Americans held Bataan for 66 days and Corregidor for 26. British and Commonwealth troops defended Tobruk once for 241 days. The record World War II siege was no doubt that of the French coastal fortress of Lorient, held by German troops for 270 days from 1944 until VE Day. Many of the major sieges of recent years involved large numbers of troops on both sides. There were 330,000 German troops encircled at Stalingrad at the beginning of the siege, and the Soviet troops which encircled them numbered over 1 million. In comparison, Dien Bien Phu, with a garrison which barely exceeded 13,000 men at any one moment, and a Viet Minh siege force totaling 49,500 combatants and 55,000 support troops, could hardly qualify as a major battle, let alone a decisive one. Yet that is exactly what it was, and in a way which makes it one of the truly decisive battles of the 20th century, in the same sense that the First Battle of the Marne, Stalingrad, and Midway were decisive in their times. Although hostilities continued after the particular battle, sometimes for years, the whole tone of the conflict, as it were, had changed. One of the sides in the conflict had lost its chance of attaining whatever it had sought to gain in fighting the war. This was true for the French after they had lost the Battle of Dien Bien Phu. The French Indochina War had dragged on indecisively since September 19, 1946, and reluctantly, far too reluctantly to derive any political or psychological benefit from the gesture, the French granted the non-communist regime of ex-Emperor Bao Dai some of the appurtenances, but little of the reality, of national independence. In fact, as the war bit deeper into the vitals of the French professional army and consumed an ever-rising amount of France's post-war treasure, it finally cost France about $10 billion, in addition to $954 million of United States aid actually expended in Indochina prior to July 1954, it became increasingly clear that France had entirely lost sight of any clearly definable war aims. General Henri-Eugène Navarre, the unfortunate French commander-in-chief at the time of the Battle of Dien Bien Phu, was to argue later in his book Agonie d'Indochine that there were two acceptable but contradictory war aims. France could be expected to fight the Indochina War alone but with all her might only if the Indochina states would accept a special relationship that would justify the expenditure in blood and money that would entail, and if they were willing to help in the fight to the utmost of their abilities. If, on the other hand, the Indochina War had become an integral part of the worldwide struggle, led by the United States, for the containment of communism, all other nations concerned with stopping communism had an obligation equal to that of France to participate in the struggle.